Nkrumah. He's the Minister for Information and Member of Parliament, MP for Fuase Ayuebi constituency. Welcome, sir.
This morning, let me congratulate the Ghana Economic Forum for the consistency with which you have put together what we at the Ministry of Information consider to be one of the most important platforms for this country. The Ghana Economic Forum has over the years evolved into the most credible stage on which an objective analysis of the Ghanaian economic status, its prospects, its challenges takes place. It has become the most believable place to agree on what all stakeholders in the Ghanaian economy need to do if the full aspiration of the Ghanaian people is to be achieved. And right from the onset, I want to add my voice to the many who spoke yesterday, urging that the resolutions that come out of here be taken very seriously. My task is a very, very, very simple one. It's to set the tone for the day two conversations. And the conversations today are geared towards driving economic development through entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. And I want to make my remarks very brief. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that the Ghanaian economy started from the time when there were statistics to quantify GDP and growth and inflation and all of those. But long before macroeconomic statistics found their place in Ghana, Ghana still had an economy. This pre-colonial economy was an economy totally driven by the private sector. Agriculture, industry, trading, services. The local cassava, plantain, or yam farmer, the market woman who bought and sold his produce, the gold miner, the blacksmith, these were all entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship was the backbone of economic survival and development at that time. And the Ghanaian was an entrepreneur. Our forebears who built great cities and kingdoms did so funded by and on the back of entrepreneurship. But when governance systems started changing around 1844, when the Bond of 1844 and its antecedents took place, with the advent of colonization, a new dimension for achieving economic survival and development started. Public service institutions, public service jobs, and expectations on the public service have since been thought to hold the key to our economic expansion and development. With the advent of multi-party democracy and the multiplicity of media, the Ghanaian is gradually, inadvertently being oriented to think that the answer to our economic questions, growth, jobs, development, and our well-being, lies in expanding the public service, or at best making it more efficient. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I share in the demand for an efficient public service, a public service that works with the highest sense of urgency to resolve our challenges, and a public service that deals with the things that matter to us now. I share in the view that as much as possible, the public service should accommodate as many of our young people who can contribute to an efficient public service delivery. However, I want to, in all humility, submit to you this morning that even the most efficient public service cannot be a substitute for the role of the private sector and entrepreneurship in our development agenda. It cannot be a substitute as to how far and how quickly we can move forward in answering the questions of our economic fortunes as a country. Entrepreneurship, the culture of individuals or groups of individuals in the private sector developing products and services which help to maximize opportunities around us, which helps us to resolve our personal, community, and national challenges at a profit, is still the most significant instrument if we are to get the majority of our people, particularly young people, economically engaged and economically rewarded. Orienting our people that entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology lie within our own hands, that we need to develop our own technologies and solutions that will make our society better off, as against waiting for an expansion of the public sector to accommodate all our interests, is a challenge, however, which we have not met well enough. The principles of economic self-determination, which lie at the heart of any country's ability to build its own products and services and then export to other territories, must now more than ever be reignited, particularly in our young ones. And that's why I'm excited that we're having this conversation today. Ladies and gentlemen, for this change in paradigm to occur, we at the Ministry of Information would like to nominate a few ideas for your consideration as you go about your conversations today. First, The conversations around entrepreneurship, its prospects, resolving its bottlenecks, and highlighting the rewards of entrepreneurship must be mainstreamed as one of the most important conversations in this country. A nation that spends all its time discussing issues that do not align with its true value drivers will hardly motivate its teeming youth to align with those true value drivers. If entrepreneurship, private business, innovation, and technology are the most significant pillars in economic recovery, then our best energies, our best attention must be directed there. Our public conversations on traditional media, digital media, and all other platforms must reflect what we believe is the most important value driver for our economic transformation. We cannot spend all our times discussing allegations, suspicions of one another. We cannot spend all our time comparing who is the richest pastor, debating partisan political positions, and for the younger ones, we cannot spend all our times amplifying social media beefs and expect that entrepreneurship will gain its pride of place in our national life. We must make it the most important conversation, the most important national conversation, if we truly want entrepreneurship and private sector development to take its rightful place. And so I say to you, number one, entrepreneurship development must seize our national consciousness. Number two, if indeed the most important stage in life is our formative years, and education is the most important part of our formative years, then we cannot also leave our young ones in school learning all the available academic theories about everything else and not learning about entrepreneurship as a core subject. I recently heard a joke about a young man who was in search of a job and met an old math teacher of his. The teacher expressed his lack of surprise that this young man was still unemployed 10 years after school. "You were poor in maths, and you were never serious about maths," he's reported to have said. The former student in response reportedly lashed out. "Well, sir, when you were teaching us how to find X and Y, how many of us were going to find a job or create jobs by finding X and Y?" My point is that whatever we choose to include in academic curricula, one field of academic work which I believe should now be taught across all levels of education as a core subject, just like literacy, numeracy, and science, is entrepreneurship. So that no matter what else a Ghanaian child has studied, he or she will also be equipped with the basic orientation to use that technical knowledge even in building his or her own business out of it. Number three, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the state must offer more support for growing an entrepreneurial ecosystem in this country. Successive governments have tried and have made efforts. I recall the Kufuor administration rolling out the Venture Capital Trust Fund in addition to other initiatives. The Mills Mahama administration rolling out the Youth Enterprise Fund in addition to some other initiatives. The Akufo-Addo administration has been rolling out the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program in addition to turning around the MBSSI to the Ghana Enterprises Agency. And I see Kosi Yankee here, who is doling out a lot of money for that purpose. But I believe we all can agree that looking at the enormity of the challenge ahead of us, we need to quadruple our efforts as a country at the minimum. We need to provide avenues for more technical support, patient capital, and paradigm orientation if truly we want to see more young people take up entrepreneurship. Government policy must be bolder, larger, and more focused in support of growing entrepreneurship in Ghana and indeed across the African continent. Number four, ladies and gentlemen, we need to de-risk failure for young entrepreneurship. The risk of failure for young entrepreneurs is still very high in this country in terms of finances, reputation, regulatory compliance and its consequences. The risk to entrepreneurship is way too high in Ghana today. But if the statistics of entrepreneurship across the world is anything to go by, then not even 50% of startups will actually survive and go beyond 5 years. What it means is that the ecosystems that have succeeded in making entrepreneurship the norm and not the exception in other parts of the world have, among other things, made the risk of failure minimal and provided safety nets even for those who fail. And we must do the same, if not better. Already, existent private sector operators as a fifth pillar are doing their bit in supporting entrepreneurship. But I want to challenge you today that a lot more needs to be done by private sector. Elsewhere, already existing private capital is very interested in pooling angel investors, private equity funding, technical support to help grow new businesses. Mentoring and technical support and supply chain prioritization for younger local business owners should be our priority too in the private sector. Supporting especially young female entrepreneurs instead of seeking to take advantage of them at every turn will help us a lot more. Out of already existent profits and without necessarily expecting anything in return, banks, insurance companies, and blue chips must make it a hard deliverable to help grow the next generation of Ghanaian businesses. It is in our collective interest to do so. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we must invest more in stimulating the development of innovation and technology locally. On the part of government, Cabinet has decided to apply 1% of GDP towards research and innovation programs. It's a bold step in the face of limited resources. But it is what we must do if we truly want to reverse this tide. We will, however, need the complementary effort of academia and private sector to help fund the new frontiers of locally developed innovation and technology. And so business incubators, technology, coding hubs, innovation competitions for young people must be supported by all of us. We at the Ministry of Information believe that more of our money, collectively, public sector and private sector, more of our attention, more of our promotion, must go towards these areas if we are to harvest the fruits of entrepreneurship and really gain significant results in the private sector growth agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, my hope is that today's conversations will build even beyond these 6 ideas that we have nominated, and that the college of more experienced heads and hands that are here today will pull together a template of focal areas to which we can recommit ourselves if we are to make the agenda of private sector development the true engine of growth in our lifetime. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you all the best.